In a way, I think it's very important to keep or develop a very special style of sound of an orchestra. Mm-hmm. I don't share the opinion of some musicians that there is no special style of an orchestra, and it wouldn't even be desirable. Mm-hmm. For me, I think it's very interesting to hear different sounds and different approaches to composition and to music. Because for me, there's nothing like a Brahms sound. This doesn't exist. The Brahms sound doesn't exist. Because we don't know. I mean, I knew, for instance, my grandfather was really close as a young man to Brahms. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't tell me what the Brahms sound is. Mm-hmm. You know, there's nothing. It's just Brahms music. And Brahms music changes. Mm-hmm. For us, it's a different music than it used to be for the people 80 years ago. Mm-hmm. Because we are different. So also, this music changes. I mean, otherwise it would be very boring. As theater changes. You can't play theater now like you did 200 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so on.
Because the audience is
right, different. The audience, we are different. The approach is different. Allegro vivace, let's say Beethoven Allegro vivace, Allegro molto, it's different now than in Beethoven's time, certainly. Mm-hmm. And also the sound of the orchestra must be different. The Vienna Philharmonic doesn't sound today the way it sounded in 50 or 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. Certainly not. So I think to keep a special sound, to develop a special sound, to keep tradition of the sound of an orchestra and of the whole structure of an orchestra is very important to me. So actually, a tradition is something which I like very much, as long as it is and there's a possibility of development in it. You know, you have to build up on something. Tradition is getting what we call reactionnaire. I don't know, reactionnaire, do you say this? You say that, yes? It's just looking backwards. Once you don't develop, you don't build up on it, you know? So this is for me one point which is very important. I think some orchestras are able to keep this tradition and still being very up-to-date orchestras concerning sound, and some lose tradition. And I think for me, this is one thing which is very important. Then the other thing is very important is an orchestra really has somehow always to realize they shouldn't depend too much on the conductor in a way. They should listen to each other, you know. It must be a real community. It must be a real like chamber music, tremendous chamber music, you know.
With the
communication between them. With all difficulties between human beings. Never you find only friends, you know. You know, there has to be also tension. But it has to be, they have to be aware. It's not just sitting down and doing what the conductor does. It's also offering something to music, adding something to music by themselves. So this is kind of a dialogue, you know. And on this, the conductor, maybe it's a sound or something that they are doing beautifully, and you catch it, and then you add something yourself, and then they are adding something, so you build up something outstanding. That's for me something, I mean, this back and forth, you know, this ping-pong business, you know, that's very important.
Could I infer then that you see yourself responding to the orchestra, not...
Every conductor is, you know. You have some ideas to music. They give it back to you. You have some new ideas, you know, so everybody's adding something to music, you know. So as long as this works, it's fine.
How about the differences between American and European orchestras? Is there a difference anymore?
There's a lot of difference. There's a lot of difference in the approach, especially, you know, since the structure is so different, everything being sponsored or based on private money over here, has advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that really no time is lost, and people work very hard. The disadvantage might be that people sometimes have too little time to prepare things and have to put in too much music in too short of a rehearsing time. Of course, being able to do miracles sometimes, you know, in this country, in the shortest time, which almost no European orchestra could do, even not the very famous one, because it's a different tradition, you know. You have more time I think it's a danger for young conductors in this country to have too little time to develop your opinion and your approach to music, because if you are forced to do the, let's say, the sixth Beethoven the first time in one rehearsal, I think this is a tremendous danger to musicians, and to orchestra musicians as well as to conductors, but maybe especially to conductors, because we need time to get to know a piece, and you can study like mad at home. You meet the orchestra, and you meet your work, and if you have such a tremendous piece like great symphonies, which are so difficult concerning style and everything, and then you suddenly are forced to do this within shortest time, this might hurt your development. I think this is one of the reasons why some of the very talented American young conductors have such a hard time to make a career, because they just don't have enough time to grow up
with the depth.
They're just forced to do things in a too short time.
Do recordings also intensify that pressure?
Yes, in a way, but recordings, I'm not such a recording listener so much, because I'm just a musician. But I'm very much convinced that recording is a tremendous control of your work, and it's adding a lot to discipline and to the facilities of an orchestra, and also to find a style. I'm in a way rather glad I didn't do the main work too early, because otherwise I would have to pay to destroy them now. Because, if you do with 25 all the Brahms symphonies or with 30, and you cannot do it all the Beethoven. So there's a danger to that too. But on the other hand, to record is marvelous, to see at what state have you arrived, where are you? Where are you by now? And is this right? Are you on your right way? And you see, and for the orchestra, of course, it's a tremendous way of catching on discipline and developing discipline and being able to do things in a short time. Also this has two sides, but I'm rather positive to recording as a process. I'm not so crazy about listening to recording, except to the ones of artists I cannot hear anymore, and of course I love to hear some of the older, and I would, of course, everybody would be more than happy if we could have some recordings of Gustav Mahler and so on, I think for this, in this sense, it's marvelous to have it, so later people can hear what we did and what people before and the older generation did, but for myself, I listen to the old ones.
Is there a difference in sound between the European and American orchestras?
There is, of course, a difference of sound too. I think the closest to the American orchestras are the British orchestras. The English, the London orchestra, are the closest to the American orchestras. Also because being based in having the same, economic structure, most of them, very short in money and having to play a lot of music to make up for the money, a Cleveland orchestra having about a budget about 18 million has to make up to I think 4 million. We have to make up at least for 14 million about, to play music, In Europe, an orchestra having 18 million would make up for 5 million. The rest would be support.
5 million on their own
income, and they play and they get an income first. So of course this gives you freedom, but as we all know, freedom is something marvelous if you realize it has to be deserved, But as long as you don't work for it, it is also a danger. You can sit back and lean back and wait until somebody takes your freedom.
What you said in an interview that you were a man of the left, I believe. At least I read this.
I would say I'm very liberal. I think I'm actually I believe that intellectuals and artists normally, belong to liberal side of life, and that most likely businessmen belong to the right, because one is handling. If you really want to be economically speaking. If you want to be all set, you should depend on those people who know something about money, you know, and normally these are the right people, you know. And if you depend on ideas and on ideals, and if you depend on intellectual approach to things and so on, mostly you depend on less people. That's the way it is, you know. And since we are artists, all of us are more right, more less than right.
Leaning that.
Yes, leaning that way.
Yeah.
Yes. But actually, I'm very much politically concerned, but I could never decide to join any party, you know, because this would somehow. First of all, I was brought up in a country where I saw how what a party can be like, you know. Second, I don't want a pattern, you know, of thinking, because many of my thinkings are also right, you know, on the right thing, and others are on the left thing, and I think democracy needs it, but I'm not so much on the party.
In your own education and development, what do you see as the most important part of your growth? Opera conducting or composition? Concerning
the technical approach to music and to get into music and involved into music, I think for me there's no better way than to start as a very small member of a good opera company with a great conductor who can teach you symphony and opera. Because in Germany, of course, most of the opera houses, we also play symphony. So when I was the head of the Frankfurt Opera, for instance, of course I did all the concerts of the museum orchestra, all the symphonies, and I did opera. And then you really know something about staging, about designing, about costume, and about lighting, and you know all this, and you start doing amplifying voices and everything, you know, balancing, and so you know a lot about this, and then finally you get small things to do, like stage music, conducting, and you have to arrange some things for music, for instruments, you know, and so on. So you do everything, compose a little bit. So that's a very normal way, and I think I'm very grateful I had this training.
Did you play flute and piano were your...
Flute and piano were my main instruments, yes. I did try some other ones, but once I lost my apartment because I tried to study the trumpet. So I did this was, of course, also a little too late. It was after I came back, I was already about 20. But flute and piano I played.
How would you characterize the Cleveland Orchestra now? What's distinctive about it? Now that you've been together officially for some time?
Very hard to describe this orchestra because, you know, it's a very outstanding orchestra, and as we all know, and the main thing I observed is up to now, and I hope it's going on this way, a tremendous possibility of building up human and artistic relations, you know. You really can get very close to people. They try to understand, they try to follow, they really try to realize what you want without giving up their own personality.
Yeah.
You know? And that's great, you know.
So there's, again, attention.
Because if you must have a partner, you know, it's, every marriage is going to be very boring if one is just giving up, you know. You shouldn't give up. You should keep your personality. But this orchestra keeps the personality, has a lot of respect, but a lot of pride, you know. You know, and so they know they are one of the best in the world, but they want to bring this into this marriage, you know. And that's a tremendous approach.
What do you like to hear about yourself? In other words, how would you like to be recognized by the musical culture, by the musical world?
It's hard to say. I mean, everybody wants to have success. I would like that people believe I never think I accomplished. I'm always trying, you know. This is something which, if I would think I do anything real well, and if I would ever think, so that's it now, here this is the goal, you know, I would stop, you know. because this would be just the end, you know. And I think so you have to keep yourself alive by always trying and then pushing and getting something different and looking from new aspects at the things, you know. That's why music, even the so-called old war horses, never get boring to me, because it's always an adventure to do. Even we just did Tchaikovsky. I mean, everybody knows it, but still it was an adventure to do it, you know. So I think this is the main thing. People never should think, here is coming somebody who knows, you know. It's the same, you know, if you meet, I mean, there are some people who like to speak and to talk ex cathedra, you know. You know, ex cathedra from, they say, you say that's the way it is, you know. And
from the Pope,
yes, I think we never should do it, because you cannot involve people if you speak ex cathedra. You have to make him think, you have to make him feel, you have to make him discuss it somehow with you. And to create a musical community, it should never be that they lose this feeling of this man is trying to make us part of his musical thinking, you know. That's something which is important.
Yes.
You have one last.
I do not. That's perfect.
That was it. Great.
Got it? Very good.